Today is obviously Friday because this is Friday Live at 5. I am Peter McLaughlin from Blue Sky Hypnosis. Today we're going to be talking about building self-esteem. And just the normal disclaimers, I'm not a doctor, I am not a psychologist, I am a hypnotherapist and a life coach. And everything I talk about on these broadcasts comes from, well, this is my 17th year of working one-on-one with people, helping them to resolve all kinds of issues in their lives. It could be things that pertain to their emotional state. It could be their self-conception, like today's concept. Could be medical support. Could be performance issues. I've worked with professional athletes and others on those kinds of things. There could be people that just have trouble with relationships, or it could be trouble with wealth and abundance, their business or their work life. It can be fears and phobias. That's another big one. People that are afraid to get on planes or drive across bridges, afraid to speak in public, or they have social anxiety. But whatever, just if you have any serious thing going on that requires the attention of a doctor, call your doctor. Anything that requires the attention of a psychologist, call your psychologist. If you think that I might be able to help or support you, get in touch with me. You can even do a free 20-minute call if you want. If you have questions, please ask questions. If you have comments, please make those comments in the comments section. That's what really keeps this going. So feel free to just put anything you want in there. And if it's something that I can get to, if it's a question or a comment that I can haul up, I will certainly do that. So let's start by sort of defining what is self-esteem. And this is very, very interesting to me. So when you go for a definition of self-esteem, you find definitions like it's a person who prizes, appreciates, or likes him or herself. It's a self-concept. It has to do with things like success, with worth, and with value. Now, there's two parts of that I find particularly interesting, and that is, it would seem that self-esteem would be on the kind of narcissism scale, right? So one of the things that ancient wisdom, the Kabbalion it's called, that it's also known as the 7 Hermetic Principles, how the universe functions or operates. One of the things that the Kabbalion talks about is a continuum with degrees on it. So if you think about a thermometer is measured in degrees. And the difference between hot and cold is kind of amorphous, and it perhaps is different for different people. When do you move from hot to warm? When do you move from warm to neutral, neutral to cool, and cool to cold? We know what that would be on the extremes, but as you move by degrees, it could be 1 degree makes the difference. It could be it takes 5 or 6 degrees to make the difference before somebody notices, hey, wait a minute, I went from being comfortable and neutral, now I'm hot, or now I'm cold. Well, the Kabbalion talks about this in terms of us as spiritual and human beings, and where we fall on a particular continuum, and that change occurs by degrees. It's not binary. It's not black and white, up or down, right or wrong. And so if you think about this whole thing about self-esteem, where does self-esteem, people who are able to prize, appreciate, like themselves, who have a good sense of, they feel successful, they feel like they have value, they feel like they have worth, where does that connect to, or does it, to the concept of narcissism, which we would say is somebody who overly, keyword, overly, or too much values themselves, too much appreciation of oneself, too much liking of oneself, too much, an inflated sense of their value or worth. And who judges these things? I find this really fascinating, especially at a time when that concept of saying, he's a real narcissist, or I was married to a narcissist, or she's a narcissist. I'm not saying there aren't narcissists in the world. I just think it's interesting because it seems to be a very popular term that's used at a time when you often see people gazing into their cell phones and taking pictures or video of themselves. It's a really interesting time. And I guess what the Kabbalion would say is that it's a matter of degrees, that it is on the same continuum. Narcissism is on the same continuum as self-esteem. High self-esteem, average self-esteem, low self-esteem. They're all on the same continuum. And that if you're at one of the poles, if you're at the narcissistic pole too much, then it would be important to move by degrees back in the other direction. If you were on the low self-esteem component of the continuum, it would be important for you likewise to move back in a way towards the narcissism end, but not all the way. And another piece that I find interesting about this, and I see occurring over and over again with my clients, is the concept of the shadow. So, and I bet if you think about this right now, let's see what happens, and maybe you guys can put this in the comments if you're willing, is close your eyes for just a second. And I'd like you to think about someone in your life, or even a public figure, someone you cannot stand, someone you absolutely abhor. They just rub you the wrong way. Every time you see them or you hear their voice or you think about them, you just get totally irritated, if not even more intense. Think of that person. Okay. Now think of why that person really gets you upset. What is it about them that really gets you angry and irritated? That thing that gets you the most irritated about this person in your life, we're going to call this person your shadow. I'm going to say that thing, if you think about that concept of degrees, like a thermometer, let's say it's a 0 to 10 scale. 10 is off the charts and 0 have none of this characteristic at all. That person, let's say you say, I can't stand this person because they're so arrogant. Well, if you go by degrees in the other direction, away from that extreme, you probably will reach a characteristic that you desperately need in your life. So if you need to be more assertive, you're probably going to talk about somebody who is arrogant. They're a loudmouth. If you're someone who has low self-esteem, the person that you may hate the most in this world, whether you know them or they're a public figure, probably is somebody that we might call a narcissist. And if you think about this in terms of degrees, it doesn't mean you're supposed to emulate them. It just means you need a couple of degrees that they are exemplifying at an extreme. So let me know. Oh, okay. So a couple people have tuned in here or have commented. Hello, Leanna. Leanna says hi from Canada. Welcome here, Leanna. I don't recognize your name, so if you first time, welcome. Glad to have you. Jane Kisenik says, hi, Peter. So looking forward to this tonight. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Jane. And Indigo Angel says hello from Southern California and points out my stepmom. Okay, so Indigo Angel, what is it about your stepmom that irritates you the most? What is her one characteristic that absolutely, positively drives you plain bats? That it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. Would love to hear that. Joyce Shaw, welcome to you too. Wishing you everyone a great weekend. Looking forward to this self-guided self-esteem. Yeah, so in case you guys don't know, like we did, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, we're going to do an actual hypnosis. You can even think of it as a guided meditation if you want. The state is exactly the same. And the idea with this very gentle guided hypnosis is to sort of introduce you to hypnosis if you've never done it before, to just work on the positive side of it, kind of, raising you up a little bit, give you a little bit of a boost and give you a taste of what it's like to feel this. So I'm working on incorporating more of this year, some more, what do you call it? Hands-on exercises, things like we're going to do today. I think I might even schedule a Live at 5 where I have somebody like a volunteer who wants to serve as the subject, and I will hypnotize that person and then guide this person into a past life regression, for example. Maybe meeting their spirit guide, learning what their spirit name is, doing some other kind of light hands-on stuff so that you can put the theoretical together with the practical. All right, let's see if Indigo got back here. Yeah, okay, so Indigo says, she's very insecure and jealous about me being my dad's only daughter. She was only able to give him sons. Okay, so insecure and jealous. So jealousy, let's think about this for a second. This is very interesting. Jealousy would be fueled by an intense fear that you're going to lose someone you love. It might suggest, jealousy might suggest a grasping on to another person, right? That you care about them so much, you love them so much, you're so afraid of them losing them that you hold on to them really, really, really tightly, I guess it would be. Is there any correlation in your life with you maybe having too much of a hands off with people that you really love and care about? I have no idea, right? Because we don't really know each other other than just a few exchanges, on my YouTube channel and here. But that would be really interesting because I've never worked with a client that this came up when we were talking about shadow. So I'll be fascinated to know if there's any part of you that might be hanging back a little too much with the people that you love and that you care about. Maybe even in a romantic relationship. Do you think that you're maybe too hands off? That you don't, is that possible? So just let me know. Maybe it's all crap and for you it's the other way around. Don't know, but it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say if you choose to do so. Julianne, hello to you, Julianne. I'm glad you are here. And yes, Leanne says it's the first time to this live stream. Awesome. Whoa, Indigo Angel. This is so cool. Thank you for sharing this. The more you love me, the more I run. This is the polar opposite to what Indigo Angel says her stepmom is, which is holding on so tightly, afraid of losing, in this case, Indigo Angel's dad. That she has gone so far in that direction that she is jealous. This is so cool. I know I'm probably just a super nerd when it comes to this sort of thing, but so Indigo Angel, check this out. According to the theory of the shadow, and that's the only reason I was able to suggest this, and it's just blowing my mind that it's accurate here again. According to the theory of the shadow, the person that irritates you the most in this world, you go to that characteristic that irritates you the most, and you said that she's a couple things, but well, two things I think, but one of them was she's jealous. And we go to the opposite of jealous, which is sort of hands off, right? I'm in a relationship, but as you said, the more you come towards me, the more you love me, the more you adore me, the more I'm going to run the other direction. That's the exact opposite of your stepmom. The theory of the shadow suggests that you need a few degrees of what your stepmother is offering in an extreme version. I hope that makes sense. So if you take something like, we'll go back to self-esteem, right? High self-esteem. This is great. We're in a perfect place. We don't want to be in low self-esteem because that's too many degrees, let's say, to the left. And then if you go too many degrees to the right, you keep raising that, I don't know if that's accurate, but you go too many degrees to the right and you have narcissism. So she is perhaps an extreme on a continuum that gets her to jealousy, while you might be an extreme in the other direction. And in a way, if you think about this spiritually, in a way, you are both unconscious teachers for each other. And perhaps from a spiritual perspective, that is why she's in your life. To help you learn, hey, this thing that's really irritating me, I actually need some of that. If she's a 10, I need it at a 4 or a 5. Because if I'm now in relationships where I'm not running in the other direction when somebody adores me, when someone loves me, I have a chance to form a stronger union with them, a stronger, healthier bond with them. And she, your stepmother, has a spiritual opportunity from having you in her life to move more in the direction of laissez-faire, hands off. I don't have to be so jealous. I can be more generous with this person that I'm in love with. I can allow them to go in these different directions because I'm willing to back off a little bit. And I don't have to do that to the same extreme that Indigo Angel does it. I just need to do that by a couple of degrees. Guys, if you would, let me know what you think of this dynamic that we just kind of walked through here. Does this make sense to you? Is it as interesting to you as it is to me? I would say, to me, it's fascinating. All right, let's see. Pika Chrissy, hello to you. And Gary Katz, hey Gary, good to see you. Fellow Floridian. Indigo Angel says, this makes so much sense. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, you are welcome. You are welcome. And it when you see something like this, when you understand something like this, it can completely transform your relationship to that person. Because before, if it's like, get away, push away, enemy, blah, 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 blah. And now if you look at her, it might be, you might look at her slightly differently. You might, when you think about it, you might have a slightly different thought inside of, wow, maybe she is here spiritually to teach, to help me learn something. And maybe if I learn this, I really will have a much more wealthy relationship life. That's so cool. Thank you, Indigo Angel, for sharing this. I really appreciate that on behalf of everyone. Let's see, Pika, well, glad you're here right now, Pika Chrissy. Martine, shout out to you. Here is Julianne. Julianne says, you are blowing my mind. It makes sense, but the concept and practice is so new. Isn't this crazy? I feel like my own mind gets blown by this. Because like everyone else in this culture, I grew up thinking, oh, there's good guys, there's bad guys. There's people you like, there's people you don't like. There's people that are jerks, people that are assholes, people that are this, that, the other thing. And then there's the good people like me. And not really appreciating that, like aspen trees. This whole thing about aspen trees, about how underneath the soil, their roots run together. They actually intermingle their roots and they share nutrients with each other. But you're taking a hike in the mountains of New Mexico and looking, oh, the beautiful aspen tree. But you don't see the reality that underneath the surface, everything's connected. Well, that's what spiritual teachers have been talking about with us as human beings for millennia. That underneath the surface, everyone, all of us, we're connected. And that if we can understand this, if we can appreciate this, then it completely transforms often how we interact with other people, how we think about other people, and how we think about ourselves. Here's how I would say that concept can tie into self-esteem, self-worth, self-value. Because I would say that low self-esteem is a distortion of reality. In the same way that narcissism is a distortion of reality. And I would say that, like in Shakespeare, a thing is neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. That our perspective colors everything. The people we are pissed off at, they don't think they're bad people, right? Unless they're like a psychopath or something. And there's very few of those from, what the literature says. They think we're the bad guy. We don't think we're the bad guy. We think we're the good guy. We create a story, right? And they're creating a story. Well, the same concept applies to people walking around with low self-esteem. They have created a story, or they have latched onto or accepted at a very deep subconscious level a story someone else told them about them, that they are not very smart, or they're not attractive, or they're not interesting, or they're not loving, or they're not caring, or they're not blah 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 blah, whatever. And they have either latched onto that story and taken it on for themselves and then over the years reinforced it, or they have created this for themselves. But it's created out of whole cloth. It's not the objective truth, right? The objective truth, let's say, of an infant, a little baby, is pure love. Anyone who has ever held a baby in their arms, when the baby wasn't hungry or it had a dirty diaper or something, like, the baby is calm, and you look into the face and the eyes of that baby, to me, you're looking into the eyes of God, right? There's just pure love looking back at you. How does this angelic creature turn into someone who's a narcissist? How does this angelic creature turn into somebody with destructively low self-esteem, with low self-worth, other than a story is created and they latch on to that story? Well, by identifying other people as bad people, by making judgments, and I'm not saying I don't do it, by the way. I'm not wearing robes. I'm not standing up on an elevated platform at all. I don't want to give that impression, because I do this from time to time too, especially with certain kinds of public figures. But by playing into that dynamic, are we not then more naturally likely to judge ourselves in certain circumstances and situations? I mean, I can't tell you how often this happens when I work one-on-one with people. People will say, oh, I keep having these irrational thoughts. Well, that's a label that they're putting on something. Is it really irrational? Perhaps it's irrational to the conscious mind, but not irrational to the subconscious mind. Or they will call themselves stupid, either themselves or their actions, or both. Or they'll say that they're bad at this, or they're horrible at that. This reinforces a story. And like a character in a play or a film, the person starts following that story. I used to be an actor, for those of you who don't know this. For 10 years, I was an actor in New York City. And the director gives, auditions you, and then if you get cast, they give you a role. They give you a part in a story, a play or a TV show or something like that. And when they hand you this part, this role, there are expectations about how you're going to play that role. Now, you have some freedom within it, but the basic parameters are, you're playing a certain part, playing a certain role. Well, it feels like it's the same thing in our lives, that we're all walking around playing some kind of a role. And we are furthermore playing into the dynamic where we label other people as good, bad, right, wrong. And then we start doing that back to ourselves. Well, what if we got out of that whole thing and we said, it doesn't make me a better person because, I gave $100 to this charitable organization. And it doesn't make me a bad person because I got an F on my midterm exams, and so on and so on and so on. It's just a thing. It happens. I want it to be different, and this is what I'm going to do to change it. Or I gave this money, and yeah, it's great. I'm glad I was able to do that, and now I'm moving on. Or my team, it's not your team, it's not my team either. My team won on Sunday, so I'm going to feel really good. Or my team, it's not my team, lost on Sunday, so I'm going to feel really bad. It's kind of insane. What if we just got into a place where something is, and we thought of ourselves more as that angelic baby that we were, being held in someone's arms, maybe in the arms of our adult self, and looking into her eyes and seeing that inherent beauty that already exists right there. And that's what we identified with. Wouldn't that tend to prevent us from going into a deep state of low self-esteem? wouldn't that prevent us from going into this inflated sense that leads to the label of a narcissist? All right, let's see what comments we have here. Here is Julianne. Julianne's talking about the shadow. Almost like your greatest trigger is your greatest teacher. Yes, you got it. Absolutely. The little triangle there. And therefore your greatest opportunity, 100%. And this represents a sea change, a shift in perspective. And like the power of story, when you change your perspective, everything can change, right? It's easy to demonize someone who is two-dimensional. When you see them as a three-dimensional person, it's harder to demonize them. And if I go back to the art and profession of acting for a minute, the best actors can take a bad guy and find something good about him. Then that character becomes extremely compelling because they're no longer a two-dimensional image in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that gets killed at the end and you never think about them again. But they become a human being, a complex, rounded human being. And the best actors will take a good guy and find something bad about them to make them more rounded, a flawed hero, if you will. All right, very cool. But straight on the money, Julianne. Oh, wow. Indigo Angel says, I feel compassion now. I'm assuming that's for your stepmom. That's fantastic. Congratulations. I think that's awesome. Julianne says, but wow, to be able to rise to that challenge, so tough. Yes, it is so tough. And here's the thing. Think of what we do as human beings. You know, what our ancestors did. Talk about tough. Our ancestors were tough. They were able to, go out onto the prairie in North America with a covered wagon and some tools and some flour and some salt and some sugar. And they were able to create a life against all kinds of hardships. We still have that spirit inside of us that wants to, for some people, they want to master sailing a ship, even through storms, if that were to come up. They want to master scuba diving. They want to master jumping out of an airplane. They want to climb Mount Everest. They want to hang glide. We have this spirit inside of us. Every athlete is challenging themselves. There are people who challenge themselves on the inside on spiritual journeys. There are people that are scared of speaking in public, but they do it anyway. And my wife and I were talking about this yesterday, that from a neuroscience perspective, when you take on a challenge and you successfully navigate that challenge, your body rewards you with like a dopamine rush. You feel happiness. It would seem that we are indeed like these adventurers that are hardwired for challenge, for adversity. We are tough. Maybe we're not as tough as our ancestors in terms of physical toughness, but we are still tough. We've all made it through multiple instances of getting sick, probably food poisoned. We've had people that we love, perhaps, that have passed away. We've been in maybe in accidents. We've had horrible breakups. And what? We're still here. That means we're tough. That means we can handle this. Even something like Indigo Angel dealing with her stepmom. And it doesn't mean that suddenly everything is going to be butterflies and roses with her stepmom. That's not even the purpose. The purpose is to help Indigo Angel move towards her best self, right? The highest expression of her, spiritual through the human, of finding her healthiest set point. Because when that happens, she's going to find other things in her life that bring great rewards to her. So great point. Thank you for making it. Let's see. Robin Evans, shout out to you. Glad you're here. If it's your first time, welcome. She is also sending love to all. Uh, yeah, you might want to check an earlier part of this if you're interested in some of the things that you're catching here later, like the concept of the shadow. And this is an example of how what people comment and what their questions are can take us in these different directions that still relate back to the topic at hand. Um, da, 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 da. Let's see. Yeah, perspective and mindset matters. Yeah, probably almost more than anything. Thank you, Indigo Angel. I totally felt secondhand compassion when you said that. That you felt compassion now. Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. That I can feel that one too. Bella Farfalla, has anyone else created this problem for themselves? I'm lucky enough to not know too many narcissists, but I cause my own low self-esteem. Does it make sense? Yeah, Bella, if you were here in the earlier parts of this and I was talking about that continuum, you'd have low self-esteem potentially at one end of a continuum, and at the other extreme, you'd have narcissism. Now, if you're experiencing, quote unquote, a lot of narcissists in your life, that could be because you need a pinch of what they have, an ability to love yourself more, to appreciate yourself more, to value yourself more. Not to do it, off the charts the way they do, but also not to be off the charts in the other direction where you might be. So yeah, excellent. So Claudia Thompson talks about the 4 agreements. Yeah, this is an awesome book. It is a life-changing book. It's ancient Toltec wisdom. I would highly recommend anybody out there picking up this book. It's extremely valuable and practical for living one's life. Martine Massey says, sometimes people judge you and say things which are very unfair and are hurting you, and this can pull you, I'm assuming, can pull you down. Yeah. And I think part of the reason why when someone says something and it hurts us is because, and tell me whether you agree with this or not, guys, that you accept what they're saying on some level. That it hits, like if someone said, you have a 4-foot long tail and you look like a cheetah, like that would probably make you laugh because it's so silly. Like, you don't have a tail. But if someone said, you don't care about other people, you forgot my birthday and you're a narcissist and you are selfish. Well, for some people that may hit because maybe on some level they feel like, well, maybe I am. Maybe I did forget her birthday, or maybe I am kind of selfish. Tell me what you think about that. Does it hit something that's sort of a shred of truth, and that hurts more than somebody saying something that's clearly ludicrous? I'd like to hear what you have to say on that. Here's a quote that Leanne Richter puts up here. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, because our conscious mind can only process some tiny fraction of what you are taking in. And by necessity, you're not able to pay attention to everything. And your mental programming, will cause you to focus on some things and push away or ignore other things. And when the mental programming changes, you start to notice, let's say, the positive things, and the things that aren't so, you either don't notice it or you're able to let it go faster. So yeah, I love that quote by Henry David Thoreau. Pika is saying, I'm scared to fall asleep at night because my mom is really sick with a disease that may kill her. Oh, I'm so sorry. I try not to think about it, and I'm already mourning my mom when she's still alive. Wow, that's super, super, super tough. And I don't know that I have anything to offer you that might be helpful other than there's a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Tolle. And one of the things to consider is literally what he calls the power of now. That it's the only thing we really have. And yet our mind is constantly, our ego is constantly, in order to feel important, is pulling us into the past with regret, anger, and wish I had done that differently, or I was cheated, or it projects us into the future with worry and fear. So what your mind, Pika, is doing naturally is it's projecting you into the future. And when your mind does this, when it projects you into the future or it drags you into the past, you lose what you have, which is the present. And my advice to you, if it's of any use, is to keep bringing yourself back to the present moment. And in the present moment, she's here. And in the present moment, you can say things to her. In the present moment, you can hear her voice. You can stroke her hair. You can touch her. And I say, take advantage of the present moment. And it's honestly the way we should all be thinking with our loved ones, because even without a disease, we're all hanging by a thread. Any one of us could, God forbid, suffer an accident or get sick or something. So I'm so sorry you're going through this. And I know that what I say is not going to fix anything, but if it offers some measure of perspective or relief, then I hope it helps in some way. Here is Leanne is saying, it's on YouTube, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Thank you for that, Leanne. Robin is saying, it may not be easy to hear, but what hurts us is what we somehow believe about ourselves on some level. I tend to agree with that. I tend to believe that that's true. And it also is incredibly empowering because it means that the ultimate power is with us. It's not with other people. If we buy into the story that other people can hurt us, and I mean with words, then we have ceded, with a C, C-E-D-E-D, we have ceded our power to the other person. We've made ourselves their slave in a sense. If we realize that we're responsible for how we feel, and we practice that, we practice giving ourselves the feelings that we want, we become more powerful. All right, so I think what we should do, without further ado, is we should go into the hypnosis part. You can consider this a guided meditation if you want. Hypnosis and meditation are exactly the same state. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take you through, I'm going to pull up the script of a recent video that I launched, which is called Change Your Mood in 15 Minutes, Stressed to Blessed. Because a lot of the content of this track is about raising self-esteem. So that fits with our title for today. So get yourselves comfortable while I pull up this document, this script that I wrote. And close your eyes and just take in a nice deep breath and just notice how you feel in this moment. And just looking for the right script here. Okay. So think of this as being a break. We're at the end, in North America and the East Coast, we're at the end of a day. And we're at the end of a week. So think of this as a time for a break. Because too much stress isn't good. What is good is to give yourself this short period of time to change all of this for right now. And I know that you may be thinking, I can't change my mood in 20 minutes. I can't go from stressed, if I'm feeling stressed, to feeling blessed in this speed. And we could say that that's fair enough, that makes sense. But I think you can. I think you can do it if you really want to. If it means something important to you, then listen to the sounds of my voice. Let my voice go with you, regardless of how deeply relaxed you become, soon or in a little while. Because if you want it to happen, it will happen. And nothing and no one can stop you. I'd like you to scan your body from the inside, head to toe, and find a part of your body that already feels perfect to you. The part of you that is already relaxed, even if other parts of you aren't. And this could be the tip of your nose. It could be the back of your neck. It could even be one of your earlobes or some other part. This is the part of you that already feels good. The part of you that already feels blessed. Like being kissed by the golden rays of the sun. To float 1,000 miles away from any stress or tension of your life, from any negative preconceived notions about you. Allowing all of that to recede into the mists of the past. So far away now. Take your mind deeper into this comfortable part of your body. Like diving down deep into the azure blue of the tropical sea. Enveloped by the cool embrace of the water. Notice the quality of these good feelings present in this part of you. Notice how these good feelings expand as you focus upon them, becoming bigger, more prominent, rising. Give these feelings, these good feelings, a color. Make this color brighter. And spread this color all through your body now. And as I count from 10 down to 1, as you go even deeper, allow this color to continue spreading throughout your body, from head to toe. 10, 9, 8, deeper relaxed. 7, 6, 5. Taking control of your mind. 4, 3, 2. Taking control of your mood. Taking control of how you feel about yourself. One, by going deeper inside your body to the blessed place inside your body of sweet relaxation, like resting in the sun, drifting now, this way and that way, in and out of sleep. Your face smooth, like that beautiful infant, golden, serene. And allow your mind to wander as you wonder at the beauty of it all. Despite everything, so much of your life is truly blessed in ways that only you know. From the tiniest molecules inside your body functioning with precision, to the very planet that is your home, orbiting the sun of life. A system giving you oxygen, shelter, food, warmth. To the people that mean so much. The eyes that see the colors and the marvels. The ears that hear the symphonies and the lilting voices. The fingers that caress the silky, smooth skin. All of it, a magnificent wonder. And like a sturdy boat in an endless sea, you rise and fall with the undulating waves, steady on your course. Each motion up and down, charted for home, brings you closer. You right there are a being of radiance and light. You are a being of magnificence and wonder. You are a creature of love and warmth. Your love and your immense creativity fashioned universes of delight. In the limitless workshop of your mind, you assemble each loving aspect of your life, matching the boundless love in your heart. Focus on your heart. Focus on your heart and allow the love inside to grow. Feel it grow. Let that love inside of you, inside of your heart, expand now, filling your heart until the love spills over into your body and shines like the light of 1,000 suns from the brilliance of your eyes. You are magnificent. You are amazing. You are unique. You are truly blessed beyond all physical riches. I am golden. I am shining. I am magnificent. No bank can contain the enormity of your worth. No walls can contain the power of your Leviathan spirit. Eternity reverberates with the echoes of your loving nature and your loving actions. I am blessed. In a moment, I will count from 1 to 10. And with each number I count, begin making your way back to the present time and place. So that when I count the number 10 and your eyes flutter open, you feel the love in your heart. You have a deep awareness of your worth, of your magnificence. 1, 2, 3, making your way back now. 4, 5, and 6, coming back, coming back. A gentle surge of energy flowing through your body, feeling clear, clean, grounded. 7, 8, and 9, eyes clear now, as though bathed in cool spring water. And on the next number I count, eyes open, all the way back, feeling perfect in every way. And 10, eyes open, all the way back. All right, if anyone has any comments, how that was for you, would love to hear that. Feel free to share. And I know it can take a little while to feel like you're kind of fully back. Yeah. Robin says thank you. Well, you are welcome. Sarah W says amazing. I'm glad you felt that way. Specifically, does anyone feel any different now than you felt 20 minutes ago? Either your mood, or how you feel about yourself, or how you feel about your life or your future or your relationships. Any changes that anyone notices? Indigo Angel says, thank you, Peter. Feeling great and refreshed. Awesome. Devin Harris says, I love being so suggestible. Feeling fab. Thank you. You're welcome. Millicent Hope says, refreshing. Great. Leanne Richter says, it's really cool live because of the energy exchange. That's a really great point. Thank you for calling that out. I honestly wouldn't have thought about that, but I feel instantly upon you saying that's absolutely true. Thank you for that. Martine Massey says, love it, and feels happier. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's exactly what we're looking for. Bella says, I am all emotional. Well, hopefully in a positive sense of that word. I'm assuming that's what it is. Robin Evans says, yes, I feel even more at ease. Wonderful. Wonderful. Pika, what does Pika say? Pika says, I feel better now. Peter, thank you. Well, you're welcome. You are welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad you shared with us what's going on. Yeah, Robin gives the okay symbol. And Indigo Angel says, I feel light now. It's been a very emotional day. Well, that's always a good sign. I mean, I would say that's the most common thing that people will say when they've gone through some kind of hypnosis, is that they feel way more relaxed. They feel lighter. And the lighter part is usually associated with some kind of a shift, some kind of an important positive shift. So thanks for sharing that, Indigo Angel. Sarah W says, I've done this individually, but it does feel different with a group. I feel the group energy. That is awesome. That is awesome. I've definitely felt that in groups myself. And I'm sure that having you guys here live changes me too. I'm not standing in my closet, which is where I record things, because the sound it doesn't bounce around as much, but it's just me and a bunch of clothes. So having you guys here, I'm sure I'm different too, in really positive ways. And I can feel that as well. Robin says she feels beautiful. That's awesome. Jane Kasenik says, I have an open calmness, like looking across an open range. But in the beginning, I felt like I was drowning in the azure blue water. Interesting. So it often is a journey that people go on. And I think that's actually a good thing, because the journey may be, it begins by definition where you are. And perhaps your subconscious was already feeling overwhelmed. And it presented you, when I said the azure blue water, it presented you with the image of drowning to reflect where your subconscious feels in your life right now. But that as we progressed, that receded. And then you said you felt like you were looking over an open range with limitless possibilities. So thank you for sharing that, Jane. Devin Harris says, I had some shocking news a couple of hours ago. I was feeling spacey and racy. Now I'm feeling grounded and very confident in my ability to meet the challenges the news will bring. Well, that is fabulous, Devin. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm really glad that you felt that shift. That's phenomenal. Way to go. Julianne says, wow, that was powerful. You said you are golden, and I got emotional, like it awakened something that has gone dormant in me. The emotional is good though. Yes, it is. I'm having a hard time putting this into words. That's wonderful. And you're doing great. You're doing really great. And you are golden. You are that. You still have the energy of that infant that was held in someone's arms, that had that smooth face and those open eyes and all that love pouring out of you. That's who we all are at our core. And part of our task is to find our way back to that. So yes, you are golden. Nancy Hoover is saying, totally relaxed, mind, body, spirit, in this shared yet personal experience. Wow, love it. I love it. That is awesome, Nancy. Thank you for sharing. Jane says, your voice was amazing, so soft. Well, thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. That's really nice. Julianne says, I feel more connected to my oldest and truest feeling. That sounds like grounded. That sounds really good. Getting back to the essence of who you are. Yeah, Robin says, own it. And then finishes with, you are it. Absolutely. Leanne Richer says, I love how you smooth out the skin on the face. Cannot get enough of that. Awesome. Face, blue heart eyes. And then Julianne says, thank you to Robin. All right, I think with that we're right at an hour, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all for returning again. For those of you who've been here before, I love seeing familiar faces. Thank you to all of you who are new to the channel, new to the broadcast. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel Blue Sky Hypnosis, please consider doing so. And if you'd be willing, put a comment, put a like. It helps the algorithm for more people to find it. I would encourage you to check out the content on the channel. There's more content, obviously, like this. I think I have a couple hundred videos. And as I mentioned, today I was actually going off of a script that I wrote for a track that I released maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 10 days, something like that, called Change Your Mood in 15 Minutes, Stressed to Blessed. So if you want to participate, if you want to listen to this track again, if you want to listen to this meditation again, it's not the live one. I changed it up a little bit, but it is there as a recording, and you can work with it obviously as much as you like at no cost. And again, if you'd be willing to pop, pop a comment on there, that, as I say, really helps the algorithm, helps other people to find it. So thank you so much, folks. I really, really appreciate your participation. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I'm not sure what next Friday is going to bring. I'm going to have to work that out. But stay tuned to your email. Hopefully you're on the email list. That link is in the description of this video if you're not already on the email list, because I send an email out every time I do a live. And it is my intention to do more of these kind of hands-on lives. I think this is just kind of a richer, more full experience. So thank you again. Take care.